The annual Loerie's program aims to showcase the value that creativity adds not only to business, but to brands, the economy, and as the Chief Executive Officer of the Loerie's, Andrew Human, is going to tell us to life itself. Well, the annual Loerie's 2016 is over, so let's give you a wrap on how things went and perhaps a perspective on some of the bigger trends that emerged during the course of Creative Week in Durban. So, Andrew, welcome to you. First of all, the Loerie's receiving, I think, over 3,100 entries this year. This is an increase from the previous year. To what do you attribute that?
I think it's a couple of things. The actual increases this year came primarily from South Africa, actually. You know, the Loerie's now is across the whole of Africa and the Middle East. And our growth in number of countries was good. So we actually had 22 countries entering. This year was the highest number of countries, but the volume of entries primarily came out of South Africa. And it's difficult to say because an area like communication design grew a lot in entry numbers this year, whereas in the previous year-on-year design dropped quite a lot. So I don't know if that's just a variation or if suddenly the whole industry, because if people take a big drop, they say, oh, the economy's bad, nobody puts money into design. So you take a big lag, then everyone says, oh, we've now got to catch up again, and suddenly there's a big spurt in design again. So I can't put any specific area on where the growth comes from. It's across all the categories.
Now, I know that you microanalyze all 3,100 entries, so you'll be able to tell us exactly what the theme was that emerged from the entries this year. Just kidding slightly. But every year you get a sense of where advertising is moving or where brand building is moving in terms of creativity. Were you able to pull a trend out this year?
I think there is, especially again, the Loerie's is a regional show, and we put a lot of focus on that this year. So even from a judging point of view, the judges were briefed to look for local relevance. So you're not looking for global campaigns. You're not saying, oh, would this work in London? Would this work in New York? And you're more, what you're seeing, and this is the trend, is how people are able to take a global message and then regionalize it. So you say, how are you talking correctly in Nairobi? How are you working in Namibia? And that's where you see the distinct differences across the whole region. And if you look at the work that came out in the winners, it all has that distinct localization, and that is a key thing and a key trend that brands are looking for.
You're particularly proud of the transformative nature of this competition. It's very different to what it was maybe 5-10 years ago.
Well, I think on the one hand, there's always a lot of criticism. So, you as an industry, you're looking at pressure and people, it sits under a microscope. So there's a lot of emphasis on what is the makeup of the industry and where is it going. And I think it has such a broad impact that it is important. So we've got a lot of programs in place. So for example, we have a scholarship program, which is the richest scholarship in the industry. And we go out and find young, talented kids and we bring them into the industry. So this year, all 4 of the scholarship recipients are female, so it's 100% female, and of those, it's 3 black females and 1 white female. So you're looking at a big emphasis, and I think one of the big things is around women, and around women in the industry, and what is the percent of women. And again, in our student portfolio day, so on the young side, in our student portfolio day, we had 76% of the students were female. So that's really where all the change comes from. What you're changing in the young people entering is ultimately going to give you your leaders in the future.
And in many respects, you do have a responsibility to be a pathfinder in that respect, given, as you rightly say, there is criticism of the advertising industry in terms of its acceleration of transformation when it comes to race and gender.
And you have to create inspiration. I think that the biggest challenge is if you go to matriculants and you say, what do you want to be? The big challenge in high schools, and the big challenge especially if you go to poor communities, people are not saying, I want to be an executive creative director.
An art director, whatever the case is.
And that is a process, and it's a process of us going into the schools and explaining the creative economy and saying how you can take the thoughts that are in your mind and convert that into money in your pocket. So for example, we did a workshop this year with Facebook in KwaMashu in the township, and we got young people and taught them how to run businesses from their mobile phone. So literally saying how to take your ideas, create a business, and make money from your ideas. And there's huge potential for that, and it's an area that we are putting more and more focus on.
Just a final and quick question. 8 Grand Prix winners in 2016. That's more than usual.
Yeah, it was quite a big jump. We had 2 Grand Prix last year, so going from 2 to 8 was significant. I think it was a really broad selection. What's nice, funnily enough, is it's a lot of chicken, which I'm sure you've noticed. And but other than that, it's a nice broad range. So across the different categories, across the different mix. And also we had, I think, 2 of the Grand Prix. One is Tusker out of Kenya, and one is a Telecom out of the Middle East. So it really is a good range across the industry.
And it certainly has been the year of the chicken brands. Andrew Himan from the Loeries, thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.